Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so it is June 25th, 2026, and the artificial intelligence landscape? Well, it's currently experiencing a massive tectonic shift. Right now, we're witnessing a high-stakes geopolitical shutdown of one of the world's absolute most capable AI models, stealthy benchmark records being quietly broken in the background, and the rise of a staggering $80 billion infrastructure monopoly that is literally underpinning it all. Now, these aren't just isolated events, right? They're fundamentally linked pieces of a massive global puzzle. So today, we're going to break down exactly what is happening, why it matters to you, and what you really need to take away from these rapid developments.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the Fable 5 shutdown, move on to Google's benchmark win, then tackle that $80 billion compute empire, and finally, we'll run through some quick hits from the rest of the AI world.
All right, Section 1, the Fable 5 shutdown and that chilling Five Eyes running.
So, for almost 2 straight weeks now, Anthropic's flagship models, Fable 5 and Mythos 5, have been totally shut down, accompanied by just absolute silence from the White House. At first, a lot of us thought it was just a simple software issue. But take a look at this quote. "The timeline is not years, it is months." Wow. This really rare joint statement from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance completely reframes the entire crisis. They are officially warning that frontier AI models are going to accelerate offensive cyber attacks much faster than anyone anticipated. So this wasn't a glitch. This was a direct response to a highly real, verified cyber threat identified by Allied intelligence.
And this brilliantly illustrates the cruel paradox of the current government policy. Think about it. On side A, we have our enterprise defenders. Because of the U.S. government's unprecedented export ban, these defenders are totally restricted from using the absolute best defensive AI tools out there, like Fable 5. But then look at side B. Foreign adversaries are out there developing equivalent offensive capabilities with literally zero restrictions. So the most capable defensive tools are being gated away by the government at the exact moment that enterprise defenders need them most to fight off those very same unrestricted adversaries. It's a real catch-22.
Moving right along to Section 2, Google's really quiet benchmark victory with Gemini 2.5 Pro DeepThink.
So while the entire industry was distracted by all that geopolitical drama, some seriously quiet advancements were happening in the background. Just look at the sheer dominance of these metrics. Google launched Gemini 2.5 Pro with DeepThink on June 22nd and has been completely rewriting the leaderboard all week. 82.4% on GPQA Diamond, 89.8% on MMLU Pro, a staggering 94.1% on Human Evolve Plus, and that is all backed by a massive 2 million token context window. Now, while Anthropic might still hold the theoretical crown for software engineering, remember, their model is entirely offline right now. For teams doing hard math, serious scientific workloads, or financial analysis in the real world today, Google has just achieved a massive real-world advantage.
But there is a massive catch here, and it all comes down to the number 5. This impressive new model is Gemini 2.5 Pro, not Gemini 3.5 Pro. Google famously promised us the release of their 3.5 Pro flagship back at I/O in May with a general availability target of June. Well, Sundar Pichai has exactly 5 days left in the month to actually ship that promised 3.5 Pro, or they're going to face a severe credibility risk for missing a self-imposed deadline for the second consecutive time.
Because of this, despite verifying their benchmark leadership, Google is suffering from a catastrophic narrative failure. They launched a state-of-the-art model on one of the most news-saturated days of the year, and honestly, barely anyone noticed. Why? Because their model families are just violently fragmented. Developers are trying to navigate between 2.5 Pro, 3.1 Pro, 3.5 Flash, and then this missing 3.5 Pro flagship. Even highly engaged developers simply cannot track what's actually available anymore. Topping the scientific benchmarks with a 2.5 variant is an incredible feat for sure, but it's not going to save Google's narrative if they miss the deadline on their actual flagship model.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, the $80 billion compute empire, SpaceX's Colossus. To really wrap your head around the physical hardware powering all of this intelligence, you have to look at the breathtaking scale of committed external compute revenue for Colossus through 2029. We are looking at roughly $45 billion from Anthropic, roughly $30 billion from Google, and a newly leaked $6.3 billion lease from Reflection AI. Along with others like Cursor, this totals over $80 billion in committed external revenue. Elon Musk originally built this massive cluster of chips just to train his own Grok model. But now, he's completely transformed it into a global infrastructure monopoly, renting out NVIDIA hardware and raking in tens of billions of dollars from the biggest players in the space.
Which naturally brings us to this fascinating, almost unbelievable supply chain irony. Why on earth is a grounded AI company funding its competitors' infrastructure? Think about it for a second. Anthropic is currently paralyzed by a Commerce Department standoff, legally unable to serve its flagship model. Yet they're paying roughly $45 billion to xAI's parent company, SpaceX, just to maintain their compute access. Musk is effectively getting paid by his direct competitors to build the infrastructure monopoly that trains his own models on the side. It's a completely circular supply chain entanglement.
Now, what's really interesting about this strategy is how new players are intelligently navigating this exact monopoly. Take Reflection AI, who just signed a lease for $150 million a month at Colossus. They're founded by DeepMind veterans backed by NVIDIA, and they're building an American open-weight model, which means the underlying architecture is actually accessible and customizable. They've identified exactly what Western governments are desperate for, an AI that is frontier-capable but sovereignty-safe. Governments won't use closed U.S. labs because of data sovereignty concerns, and they definitely won't use Chinese open-weight models due to security risks. So Reflection AI is cleverly positioning itself as the perfect third option, and they've just locked in the exact compute they need from Musk to build it.
All right, let's wrap things up with Section 4, quick hits from the rest of the AI world.
The ecosystem is moving at absolute breakneck speed, so let's just sweep through this timeline to synthesize what you should really be watching for next. Tomorrow, June 27th, GPT 4.5 officially retires from ChatGPT. On June 30th, we hit Google's absolutely critical deadline to ship Gemini 3.5 Pro. July 1st is when that massive Reflection AI compute lease at Colossus officially kicks off. Then, definitely mark your calendars for July 8th. Anthropic is rolling out Persona ID verification, which right now remains the most structurally likely mechanism to allow a US-first partial restoration of their grounded Fable 5 model. And finally, by late July, prediction markets strongly expect the highly anticipated release of OpenAI's GPT 5.6.
So the crucial point is that beneath all these deadlines, massive market shifts are happening right now. OpenAI's GPT 5.5 Cyber remains strictly gated exclusively to trusted partners. Meanwhile, with Fable 5 stuck offline, international competitors like China's DeepSeek and Minimax are just rapidly absorbing all that displaced enterprise traffic. We're also seeing massive industry consolidation with a pending $20 billion merger between Cohere and Aleph Alpha. And on the enterprise deployment side, Priside AI just signed a massive strategic partnership to deploy agentic AI, systems that can actually take action on their own across 102,000 small and medium enterprises. The ecosystem absolutely does not stop for regulatory standoffs.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from urgent intelligence warnings and quiet benchmark victories to $80 billion compute monopolies. But I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought to chew on. As governments restrict access to frontier models out of totally valid geopolitical fear, but simultaneously rely on private infrastructure monopolies to actually build them, who truly controls the future of frontier AI? Is it the intelligence agencies drawing the lines, the labs pushing the code, or the companies that literally own the compute? Keep questioning the broader chessboard, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.